Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade was before Parliament's Standing Finance Committee early this morning. Kamina Johnson-Smith was defending her ministry's budgetary allocation, which has been increased by 3.4%, taking it to $4.7 billion. She was questioned about expenditure for foreign missions, embassies and consulates. Opposition member Lisa Hanna suggested that consideration be given to revising the number of missions in South America, apart from Brazil and Venezuela. She also said consideration should be given to increasing the number of visits to China, where it's believed more opportunities exist for trade. Mrs. Johnson-Smith agreed that consideration should be given, but noted that it would not be possible in the immediate future. The operator of O'Brien's International Car Sales and Rentals says he's confident he'll be able to complete the supply of pre-owned cars to the Jamaica Constabulary Force within the extended timeline given by the National Security Ministry. Managing Director for O'Brien's International Car Sales and Rentals, Clementi Banks, says only about 60 cars remain outstanding of the 230 vehicles his company was contracted to deliver.
We have been clearing vehicles and we have been delivering vehicles. No matter of another pickup here that is ready that we can come and pick up this morning. So we have been doing what we're supposed to be doing. Our major problem is that we have a hell of a storage of $604,000 demurrage, storage and demurrage. That is the major problem that we are having. We have been negotiating with the shipping company and they have been so far been good to us. So that is the part we're working on right now. We're working on the part with KLC with the cars. That is a little bit ticklish because those storages amount up to 28 million and they have been trying to help us so far.
The matter was placed before mediation after O'Brien's failed to fulfill the contract to supply the vehicles despite being paid more than $230 million. Government Standing Finance Committee member Everard Warmington has blasted the Finance Ministry for not conducting an audit of the Auditor General's Department. At Monday's committee sitting, Mr. Warmington said he has been asking the Finance Ministry for a report on the Auditor General's Department for over 10 years.
What I know to be a fact is that the department ignores constantly the response of agencies and department and then take the ministries to task and agencies. And nobody is looking into the operation of this department. I am demanding that the audit be done for the Auditor General's office before we come back here next year.
In responding to Mr. Warmington's comment, the Finance Minister acknowledged the issue and gave this commitment.
As Minister of Finance and the Public Service, I will ensure that we have the Auditor General's Department subject to an audit. I won't necessarily say it will be the Ministry of Finance or external just yet, but you will understand that to the extent that this has been outstanding for a long time, the audit would be for more than likely a prior period. Okay?
Leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, says the botched attempt by the Prime Minister to set an election date is an act of gross incompetence and ultimately an expression of disrespect to the Jamaican people in general and the voters of East Portland in particular. In a statement last night, Dr. Phillips says the unprecedented act calls into question the quality of legal advice being provided to the Prime Minister and Your Holiness. Dr. Peter Phillips said, quote, "This should never happen in any self-respecting democracy without someone being held accountable. He is therefore calling on Prime Minister Holness to provide a proper explanation to the country about how an election date could have been announced before a thorough check for compliance with the provisions of the Representation of the People Act." Dr. Phillips says it's unfortunate that the Prime Minister's announcement on Monday did not contain an apology. The St. James Community Safety and Security Team is now working alongside personnel from the Victim Support Unit in Adelphi, offering grief counselling to residents following the shooting deaths of 2 persons, including a 6-year-old child, in the area yesterday afternoon. The child has been identified as Jordan Hodges, a student of Somerton All-Age and Infant School. The other individual is 27-year-old Kuwain Hemmings. The 2 were shot and killed on the Windsor Main Road about 2:30. Reports indicate that Mr. Hemmings was transporting the child on his motorcycle when armed men attacked them, firing several shots. Investigators say they are following strong leads into the probe, but the St. James Police are appealing to residents who may have information to contact the St. James Criminal Investigations Branch at 876-953-6191 or Crime Stop at 311. Meanwhile, the principal of the Somerton Old Age and Infant School, Glendon Bridson, says Jordan will be remembered as a jovial child. Mr. Bridson added that Jordan was one of the most outstanding infant students.
For me, he's a personal friend who, because of the fact that he has celebrated his birthday one day before mine. January 29th was his birthday, the 30th is mine. And so we have a very close relationship. We just want to express our deepest sympathy to the family, both the man who died and the child also.
Residents of Haddon in Monique St. Anne are still upset that the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has failed to put out a blaze at the nearby dump, which has created a smoke nuisance in the community for over 2 weeks. The residents say their repeated pleas to have the dump relocated have fallen on deaf ears. The residents complain that several persons in the community have fallen ill due to the smoke. They're making a final appeal to the NSWMA to act swiftly. This afternoon, a call for greater attention to be placed on the Ferry Police Station as the road improvement works progress in the area. Justice of the Peace Emmanuel Borland made a call at a pre-retirement party for the commanding officer for the Ferry Police, Superintendent Preston Ray.
What I would want to see, the police station get a nice facelift, because basically it's the last police station which is going to be a major thoroughfare now. Would like to see some major development within the ferry area, because it is underdeveloped and is becoming fast a commercial district. In fact, what we should do with this police station, based on the new structure of the thoroughfare, is to have your police house on top and use the entire bottom portion for office purposes and for those who will traverse and seek the service of the police.
Superintendent Ray will officially retire in June, but proceeded on pre-retirement leave on March 4. He says he leaves behind a legacy of discipline that he's confident will be continued by his successor, Superintendent Lansford Salmon. There's a call this afternoon for the Ministry of Agriculture to set up a stabilization fund for the country's coffee sector. The call was made on the Jamaica News Network, JNN's agricultural show Groundings on Sunday.
Chairman of the Jamaica Coffee Exporters Association, Norman Grant, says the stabilization fund is needed to bring a sense of ease in the sector, which has been marred by protests last year over the pricing of coffee per box.
I'm calling for the setting up of a stabilization fund for the coffee sector, where funds that is charged or generated from the importation of coffee or cess goes into that fund, and you should use it to support the farmers. So, price support. So, when you have a situation where farmers genuinely is not able to fetch prices because of market conditions, then the government should step in, quite frankly.
Mr. Grant pointed out that the same attention that is provided to other farmers through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, should also be given to those who grow coffee. He says this can be done through the Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority, JACRA. He is also adamant that the approximately 7 to 11% of revenue from the coffee sector which goes into the government's coffers should be used to make the industry more attractive.
And the government has not, over the years, been returning the compliments as it relates to the promotion.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
In news overseas, Pakistan will go after the assets and bank accounts of militant groups within its borders and in Pakistani-controlled Kashmir. The freezing and seizure order complies with the UN Security Council requirement that member states target the assets of entities and individuals listed by the Sanctions Committee. More from the CNN.
Musharraf, it seems to me, just from the politics of it, it does look like Narendra Modi was very anxious to respond in a very tough way because he has these elections coming up. It plays to his coalition perfectly to be tough on Pakistan. And Imran Khan, the new Prime Minister of Pakistan, seemed quite statesmanlike and trying to diffuse things. Do you think that the Pakistanis will understand that Modi was playing politics and that there will still be a possibility for a real rapprochement?
I think so. I think it's really clear from the conduct of the Prime Minister in Pakistan, and as you know, even in the best of times or the worst, the military is plays a significant role in these kinds of dynamics and the question of how to deal with India. But it seems from every statement and every sort of move from the Pakistani side that there's a real appetite, whether it's before the election, which I think is impossible given everything that's happened, but certainly after the election, I still anticipate that there will be a big push by Pakistan to reach out, as it has been even in these quite difficult times. So I think Pakistan seems genuinely interested in shifting the needle with India, and how much Narendra Modi is able to resist his instinct to rile things up for the sake of an election, I think is a question that will be answered over the next 2.5 months as India goes to the polls. But if we can get there without any further damage, then I think the prospects for a summer of peace will be good.
In sports, there may be selection headaches for the Reggae Girls coaching staff ahead of this summer's FIFA Women's World Cup. Head coach Hugh Menzies made the comment after their come-from-behind 3-2 win over Chile in the second of their 2 international friendlies in Montego Bay on Sunday night. Karen Madden was at the Montego Bay Sports Complex.
Inclement weather in the second city might have kept away some of the fans, but hundreds were on hand to see the Reggae Girls record their second win in 4 days against the 38th-ranked team. But they were stunned into silence when the 58th-ranked Jamaicans went behind in the 21st minute when the experienced Maria Jose Rojas pierced the Jamaican defense to make it 1-0. The Reggae Girls rallied though, and the parity was restored less than 90 seconds later when the prolific Khadija Bunny Shaw outmuscled the Chilean backline and made no mistake. Shaw, who led the goal-scoring chart across all confederations in World Cup qualifiers, was again on target in minute 32 to take the Reggae Girls into the halftime break, leading 2-1. Chile, though, pulled the lever through Karen Araya's thunderous 58th-minute strike, which goalkeeper Nicole McClure could do nothing about, and it was 2-2. However, hometown favorite Jody Brown, who was a late substitution, ensured that Jamaica would end the night victorious when she combined with Shaw to make it 3-2 in the 76th minute. Head coach Hugh Menzies said the players have given the coaching staff a difficult job.
Well, everybody played. That's the most important thing. We got a chance to evaluate them. And the thing is, it was 2 tough games. So you really get a good evaluation of the depth that we have.
And 3 of the players reacted to the game.
I guess the US game, they saw that that's where I needed to play. And I was like, yeah, I'm more comfortable there. And I feel like when I'm out there, I just want to help my teammates, and that's what I did. Like, we just made a 2v1 and then crossed the ball to Jody and we got a goal.
So it was a good feeling. I mean, the crowd came out to support us, and we thank for that. When I go in, I was like, I have to score tonight because the support is here for me. So when I go in, I just play my best and just score.
I mean, I've always said the position that I play, I'm going to get a lot of chances in front of the goal. And early out in the game, I got a chance, and it didn't happen. Obviously, the defender cleared off the line. But as I said before, you just have to hold your composure and know that it will come. And when you get that time, you just got to tell yourself, you just got to put it in the back of the net, and that's what I did tonight.
The Reggae Girls will next be in action against South Africa in South Africa on April 7 and will return to Jamaica for a May 19 game against Panama, the team they beat to advance to the World Cup. Karen Madden, TVJ Sports.
And of course, the FIFA Women's World Cup can be seen right here on TVJ this summer. That's the Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for primetime news on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.